We were consistently gaining year on year with our sales, and just going forward, things were looking pretty bright for us. Morning, Simon.
How you going?
Good.
I'm going to just get these sorted up over here. These are going to be taken out for dispatch this morning.
Carl Longstaff employs 35 people at Metal Art, a company where they design and build sturdy furnishings like benches you've probably seen lining the streets.
For manufacturing companies like our own, it was pretty much stop all business as at today, walk away, go home, no more business for at least 4 weeks. It ended up being 5 weeks in the end. As a business, we're allowed to function again, but we had to stick in a certain amount of requirements. One is social distancing within our premises. We have suffered quite a substantial drop in business. That hopefully will only last for 1 to 2 months before it really starts picking back up again.
That hit to businesses was a direct result of the country going into full lockdown at the end of March, before a single death from COVID-19 was reported. Arrivals from overseas, be they Kiwi or foreigner, were ordered into a strict 2-week quarantine. The speed and decisiveness of the government's actions are exactly why the virus has been almost completely contained here. And they're being celebrated for it, both at home and around the world. Now, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is gradually relaxing restrictions.
And so whilst it's really fantastic that we have no new cases today, really what we're still seeing are the effects of everyone's fantastic efforts at level 4 and during the lockdown. And so what we need to do is keep seeing these kinds of low results, 0 results or low case numbers for the next wee while, and particularly from the end of the week onwards, because that will tell us how we're doing now that we've opened up a little bit.
The economy's also moving into the recovery room. Last week, beaches reopened. Restaurants and cafes started filling takeout orders, and many celebrated freedom by going to McDonald's.
I think the critical success factors in New Zealand were good science and great leadership working together. And you can't succeed if you have one without the other. What we saw with this new COVID-19 was a virus that initially people thought it was going to behave like influenza and it was going to go around the globe, and all you could do was mitigate. But it became very clear by the end of February that you could actually contain this. So we realized we needed to switch from this sort of mitigation approach, which was in all our planning, and switch to this containment approach. The other thing, it really strikes me that it was huge Western arrogance about how we responded to this infection, almost some strange sense of exceptionalism that it wouldn't do in our countries what it had done in Asia. And the virus had other ideas.
Kiwis are waiting to hear if restrictions will ease even further on May 11th. In the meantime, the government has introduced a ton of interventions to help people survive, including subsidizing the salaries of 1.6 million workers. Even with all this help, it's predicted that the economy will shrink by more than 6%, while the public debt will skyrocket to 50% of the GDP. And in a country where tourism is the major industry, unemployment is expected to reach 10%. Finance Minister Grant Robertson was the architect of the government's economic plan to fight the virus.
From our perspective from day one, we reckon that the best economic response was a public health response. And if we can get ourselves to a point where we believe we've eliminated it, where we believe that by and large it's not in our communities, we would like to work towards then some kind of arrangement with Australia and potentially the Pacific Islands to be able to see movement of people. In doing so, I think that movement will look different. I think there are likely to be more checks as you go through the process, but that's something we're working towards.
Looking at all the other responses worldwide, our government's done probably the best out of all of them, and locking us down, squashing the curve, and keeping everyone safe, as well as subsidising our workforce so that we can come back and being able to manufacture and start producing again, albeit a little bit slower, a little bit less sales, but we are still fully functioning. And we've let no one go